That's all for this edition of Dateline. We'll see you again Friday at 9, 8 Central. And of course, I'll see you each weeknight for NBC Nightly News. I'm Lester Holt. For all of us at NBC News, good night.
Right now, a brand new move-in ready Jayco home is more affordable than you might think. Jayco Homes has the gift of a low 5.5% 30-year fixed interest rate that's guaranteed for the life of your loan. You'll enjoy open, spacious living, and your family will be comfortable throughout the year with our exclusive Energy Smart technology. Find your dream home today at jaycohomes.com. Yes, you really can be home for the holidays.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to News 40 at 10. I'm Chris Allen. On this Thursday evening, we've got a little bit of rain that is pushing through the area. So far, everything has been in the form of rain. It is backing off just a little bit, a few sprinkles here in the Bowling Green area just within the last hour. As temperatures get colder, though, we will see some minor accumulation and minor travel issues, maybe in some places closer to the Ohio River, scattered about as we go into tomorrow morning. But overall, I think we're going to see some light rain changing over to some light snow, and we'll see a low at 32 degrees later on this evening. The rest of your 7-day forecast is coming up.
Good evening, I'm Noah Fairber. Thanks for joining us tonight for News 40 at 10. Moving straight to our top story, a missing teenager from North Carolina is home tonight after she was found in Lincoln County, Kentucky, with a man that police say was keeping her hidden in the floor beneath his house. Police say Zachary Keith Jones met the 16-year-old victim on the internet, allegedly taking her from her home in North Carolina by convincing her he was much younger than he actually was. Police say when she realized how old Jones really was, he threatened to kill her and a deputy sheriff that had once pulled the couple over. After a domestic violence call was made on Christmas Day, police began to investigate, where they discovered a room cut out into the floor that was covered with a rug where the teen was being held. The victim has been returned to her family. Jones is being held in the Pulaski County Jail, where he now faces 30 different charges, including rape. In local news now, a committee made of city officials and lawmakers has been meeting every month since July on how to best address the issue of mental health crises in public. The hope is to build a facility for law enforcement to transport individuals to who are not necessarily breaking the law, but in obvious need of assistance. According to statistics gathered by the committee, police in South Central Kentucky spend about 4 hours on mental health calls. They visited a center in Nashville, and State Representative Kevin Jackson plans to bring the proposal to Frankfort in the next legislative session.
They're not going to get the help necessarily that they need if they're ending up in jail behind bars. They need some type of mental health counseling. Maybe it's medication, maybe it's help getting off of drugs or alcohol, whatever it is. So we feel like this is a win-win situation for not only the law enforcement, our community, and for the individual who's having the mental health crisis.
According to Jackson, this will be a great help to law enforcement, cutting down time on these calls to only around 10 minutes. And rather than crowding jails even further, individuals suffering a crisis will actually be able to get help. This year is a budget year for the legislation. Jackson says he's optimistic about obtaining the approximate $20 million needed to build the 40,000 square foot facility. If you're looking for a way to get rid of your live Christmas trees, News 40 reporter Carlisle Coppins has some ways to properly dispose of them.
Since the 1980s, Kentucky Fish and Wildlife has been recycling Christmas trees and creating habitats for fish. And they are still recycling live Christmas trees today.
When we first have a lake come into creation, it's got a lot of structure that fish love and crave. But over time, those trees break down and we're left with no habitat. And so the Christmas trees provide what those fish need.
Experts say if live Christmas trees aren't properly disposed of, they can ultimately destroy the Earth's environment.
When these materials go into the landfill, they cause harm to our environment through the production of methane gas. If we take those trees and we put them in the landfill, we're losing opportunities to have other environmental benefits.
This isn't just benefiting people, it's also about benefiting the animals by supplying all their needs.
It provides really good fish habitat. We see a lot of increases in fish usage in those areas once trees go into the lake. So it's a great way to keep trees from going into the landfills. It helps reduce the amount of garbage basically going into a landfill when it's something that can easily be used.
In Bowling Green, because local matters, Carlisle Coppins, WNKY News 40.
Many pets leave the shelters during the holidays, and after over a year of surging shelter numbers, many local animal shelters are hoping many do not return and find good forever homes. At the Bowling Green Warren County Humane Society, marketing coordinator Kate Holmes gave us a few tips on how to best acclimate to our new furry friends and hopefully learn to love and live with them forever. She mentioned an important rule new owners should follow after adopting.
When you adopt, you want to remember the 3-3-3 rule. So basically it takes them 3 days to decompress, and then 3 weeks to learn a bit of your routine and start to get used to it, and then 3 months for them to really feel at home.
Holmes also says that it is important to keep calm and be patient, as many pets need to decompress from a shelter. On the heels of 2024, we all look back and reflect on the year that was. But tonight, News 40's Michael Ridgway joins us in the studio with the words of someone who speaks for many people when they say 2023 has been pretty rough.
It's a sad state of affairs for many of our humane societies and shelters, not in just South Central Kentucky, but all over the country. There's just simply not enough room.
We're on track to have our highest animal intake year that I've ever seen. It looks like we're going to top out at about 11,600 animals, and we still have a few days to go, and that number was trending down until this year, and so it's very scary to see that.
As 2023 ends, how are local animal shelters doing? Well, not very good.
It's heartbreaking. I just received a call from another local shelter that's in a neighboring county. She was in tears, begging us for help, and unfortunately, I can't help them right now because I can hardly help ourselves, and
there's just simply not enough room in shelters, and not enough homes looking for pets.
I know Butler County right now is stacking dogs and pet taxis down their hallway, and they have a very small facility, and 10 dogs to them is like 40 dogs for me.
It's happening all over the United States. Even out-of-state help is scarce.
And the rescues that we work with up north that we transport are experiencing the exact same problems. Groups that used to pull 50, 60 animals a month from us are pulling 8 to 10. I'm getting 8 to 10 dogs in 10 minutes here.
Brawa commented on the issue as well, saying they've been overcrowded since June 2022. According to the general manager, this is the aftermath of COVID and people wanting to turn a quick profit. And it's taking a toll on not only the animals, but staff as well.
We are all working tirelessly to the point, I'm not going to lie, a lot of shelter directors are thinking about leaving their careers because they just can't do it anymore, physically or mentally. From everything that I've read in all the shelter forums that I'm a member of, they're saying it'll be 5 years before we see the numbers that were pre-pandemic. And that's really, really scary because I don't know that I've got 5 more years in me. And
Lori and staff at multiple other shelters say the only answer to the overwhelming population of cats, dogs, and surprisingly other animals is to spay and neuter your pets. Otherwise, some pets will never get the chance to find a forever home. Noah?
All right, Michael. Well, tonight, many members of the Bowling Green community gathered to honor and celebrate how far the African-American community has come. At the annual community Kwanzaa celebration, there was libation, a tribute to the ancestors. Several community leaders lit a candle and shared what the 7 principles of Kwanzaa meant to them.
The word Kwanzaa itself means first fruits of the harvest. And so while we might not be harvesting crops, we are doing a community harvest in the sense of hard work, doing things in the community to uplift each other, helping out wherever possible.
It doesn't matter what your background is, this community Kwanzaa inspires so many every year to get out and build a better community. The time for yearly resolutions is upon us, but what would it take to make this year different and actually stick to your goals? Well, News 40 reporter Tucker Covey spoke with a professional to learn more about maintaining your New Year's resolutions.
When making a goal for the new year, it is very important to find specific things and make sure that they are truly attainable.
The most important thing to think about when you're making a resolution is, number one, that it is realistic and doable for you. So if you set a goal to lose weight in 2024, that's not realistic for most people because you don't have full control over the scale. Okay. What you do have control over are the healthy choices that you make.
This mindset lends itself to making incremental, healthy choices, such as smoking fewer cigarettes or eating out less. These small changes can add up over a year to bigger changes in our lives.
We don't realize every little bit of progress is great because we're not going to be perfect. So a lot of times when we're not perfect, we give up almost immediately. And for most people, it's not realistic to be perfect. So in sticking to that, we have to realize that sometimes progress looks like 3 steps forward and 2 back.
There will definitely be setbacks on this journey, but Widener says one of the best ways to keep up is a buddy to keep us on track.
I think it's huge to have a coach, a spouse, a friend, a family member, somebody that's going to hold you accountable. Because at the end of the week, you know, when they text you or they call you or that coworker walks by your door and says, "Hey, did you get your 10,000 steps in every day this week?" You don't want to report no. Most of us, when we're being held accountable, we want to be able to say, yes, I did.
The more successful you are often means the better the goal you set. And keeping up for a year can have positive benefits in and of itself.
I think keeping that goal for a year, you hold yourself accountable. You let yourself know that you can show up and you can do this. But again, I think you've probably set a really good goal for yourself.
In Bowling Green, because local matters, Tucker Covey, WNKY News 40.
That was a look at some of tonight's top stories. Now let's send things on over to someone who's definitely keeping his New Year's resolutions. Weather Chief Chris Allen's got a look at our forecast.
I make a resolution to make no New Year's resolutions. That's mine, and I get to keep it every year, it seems like. Live radar showing some light rain just north of the Ohio River up near the Evansville area as you head out 64. And then what you're seeing in parts of Missouri, this is actual snow that is falling just there a little bit to the west of Carbondale, Illinois, and on the Missouri side. A lot of that will start to push into western Kentucky as we get into the overnight hours. How much we get really depends on temperature and the track of this system, but overall it's not going to be that big of a deal. I'll have a look at the rest of your 7-day forecast coming up in just a few minutes. Noah?
All right, Chris, to health news now. If being more active is a resolution for 2024, remember it's a year-long goal. Exercising is important to your health even when the temperature dips. In today's Health Minute, some few cold weather workout tips. Your 2024 health goals shouldn't take a break when it's cold outside.
Aside from the physical health benefits, outdoor exercise, especially in the winter, can help with things like reducing stress, anxiety, and depression, which we often see higher levels of during the winter months, especially in the
Sports medicine doctor Michael Tissot with Ohio State's Wexner Medical Center says exercising 12 months a year should be part of your lifestyle, not a burden. To safely exercise in the cold, Tissot says to dress based on the temperature and your activity, but wearing layers is important.
They'd be starting with like a synthetic base layer, a middle fleece, and then an outer insulated jacket, or a combination of a puffy warmth coat and an outer shell. The shell helps protect against rain and wind, and the inner puffy part of the jacket helps keep the warmth in.
Stay away from clothes made with cotton. Tissot says that material tends to trap in moisture close to the skin. If it's really cold outside, he says to keep extremities, like fingers, which are more vulnerable to frostbite, covered. And before you exercise, do a short 5 to 10 minute warm-up to get blood flowing to muscles.
Afterwards, after you're done exercising, a short cool down can help, and then sometimes stretching after exercise may be more effective than doing it before.
And watch out for sun exposure. You can still get sunburned in the winter, especially if it reflects off of snow. Since it gets darker earlier in the winter months, Dr. Tissot says to make sure you wear reflective clothing or bring a flashlight so that you're visible to drivers who pass by. Still to come on News 40 at 10, just a few weeks remain before Republicans pick who they want to see face President Biden in next year's presidential election. The latest details on campaign 2024 in just a bit, but first, Weather Chief Chris Allen has a full look at our forecast. You saw the snow coming in through Missouri and western Kentucky. But when is it going to make its way to our area? We'll have the full details right after this.
WNKY News 40 is always on. Visit WNKY.com for your latest in local news, sports, and weather.
I'm Ashley Wilson. Here's what's coming up tomorrow on News 40 Sunrise. Find out how you can honor Martin Luther King Jr. Day with some local celebrations. Plus, we'll put a smile on your face in this week's edition of Feel Good Friday. These stories on News 40 Sunrise.
BG Home Furnishings is the best place to shop and work. We stay motivated with daily massages.
It is just like the North Pole around here. Santa and his elves are delivering daily. We could make a calendar out of our delivery team. Meet Mr. November, always smiling and ready to deliver your sofa. For over 40 years, we are proud to be a locally owned and operated business. We are so thankful for the continued support of our community.
It's the winning season at the Mint Gaming Hall Bowling Green. Win cash or free play with nightly drawings December 25th through the 31st. Bring home the jolly this holiday season at the Mint Gaming Hall Bowling Green. Visit themintgaming.com for more details. It's the picture-perfect season.
Gingerbread house.
I mean, this is Pictionary. Yeah.
Are you not entertained?
For festive family fun.
Ski
Lodge.
Ski lodge. Ski lodge.
Pictionary every weekday.
Hi, I'm Angie Steinhorst.
And my name is Mark Steinhorst, and we are the proud owners of Tuffy. We went down to Clarksville and left Tuffy here with a dog sitter. Tuffy shot out past him and took off running.
They posted, I think it was that night or the very next morning, on the Warren County, Kentucky Lost and Found page. Your pet goes missing or is lost, immediately get on that page. If we didn't have a sense of community, just being newer here, we certainly came out of this whole experience with a sense of community.
Time now for a full look at our forecast with Weather Chief Chris Allen. Chris, if people out there are a fan of snow, then they'll be excited to see a little bit coming in through the weekend, but it's nothing to be panicking about or going to the grocery store or anything like that.
A little bit is correct. It's not going to be much of anything at all. Minor impact, if even that. Not everybody's going to see that tomorrow morning. It's still mostly going to be rain, although we could see or begin to see some snowflakes mixing in as soon as we get our temperatures down a little bit more. But as you can see currently on the Kentucky Mesonet network, the reporting stations are all showing at least mid-30s. We've got to come down a few more degrees before we start to see some of that snowflake activity mixing in. Otherwise, it's just going to stay mostly rain. Winds are coming in from the southwest as they were earlier this evening, 5 to 10 miles per hour. That's adding a bit of a chill to the air. So when you go outside, it feels more like it's upper 20s to low 30s. And that kind of a stiff southwest wind is going to continue through the overnight hours, so just keep that in mind if you're going to be out later on this evening. But much of what's happening is just cloudy skies. You can see the low ceiling of the clouds right now as they're low enough so that the lights of the city are reflecting up, and you see that perfectly here on our live cam in downtown Bowling Green. From the airport at this hour, the temperature currently stands at 38 with a west wind at 6, humidity 79%. The numbers are coming up here as the air mass becomes a little more saturated, but it's still going to take a while before we get it saturated enough to see some of that light rain and snow shower activity. 42 was our high today. That was 5 degrees cooler than the normal of 47, and we started this morning at 31 degrees. Now, as we take a look at this system, this is the low pressure system that's been wandering around the Ohio Valley for the last couple of days. Now it's making its turn back into the Ohio River Valley and affecting us once again. As we get into the late night hours into early tomorrow morning, we're still looking at this light mix. And you see the blue here, and I know you want to focus on that and say that maybe it's going to be mostly snow and less rain. But actually, I think it's going to be mostly rain and less snow for us, but simply because the way the temperatures are pacing and this thing is moving. And I think that once we get past sunrise tomorrow morning and get into the middle part of the day, everything changes back to rain. Then as we get into tomorrow night, once the cold front comes through and a little shot of some northwesterly winds come in, some of this light rain may change back for a period to some light snow tomorrow night. But again, this is going to be low impact. This is not going to be any big deal. And then once we get into Saturday, warmer southwesterly winds start to take over as that low pressure system finally moves away and gets out of our region. But it's not going to warm up all that much. And that's because that low pressure system, that what I'm calling the pesky cold core low. That is just a deep core of low pressure that has a lot of cold air surrounding it. You see the big dip in the jet stream. This thing is finally going to move off to the north and east tomorrow and into Saturday, but only a minor bump in temperature is expected around here. So the forecast for tonight: cloudy with rain at times, mixing with some snowflakes, and 32. And then for tomorrow, we see a high of 38, a wintry mix at first, then to rain, then back to maybe a period of some mix tomorrow night as we get down to 33, then only 45 Saturday, but we do warm to 52 for New Year's Eve, then drop another 10 degrees on New Year's Day to 42, and maybe another winter mix Wednesday afternoon and evening. We're back with more News 40 at 10 right after this.
John's credit report isn't perfect, but here he is looking more surprised than a caterpillar waking up as a butterfly. You see, John just got approved to finance a car with low monthly payments that fit his schedule because Byrider looked at extra factors beyond his credit score, like his income. Now there's no telling what John can do next. Right now at Byrider's year-end event, you'll find flexible payment options on quality cars, trucks, and SUVs.
At Club Pilates, there's a class for every body, at every age, and every fitness level. Strengthen, lengthen, and sculpt through low-impact group Pilates classes and private training. Visit Club Pilates online or call us to get your free intro class.
I'm waking up my day, so let's get it started. Turn it up, turn it on, keep the morning moving right along. Yeah, I'm waking up my day, News 40 sunrise way. I'm waking up my day, WNKY. Yeah, we're the force to get you out the door. I'm waking up my day, the News 40 sunrise way.
Weekday morning starting at 6.
You're not going to want to miss this.
Jeopardy, like the Everest of trivia.
Spit and truth therapy. What is Equus?
Nitroglycerin. Avignon.
Hyperglycemia. You got revenge on that category.
I sure did.
Weeknights at 6 on WNKY, NBC 40.
It's time, y'all. Come on. Man, knows that I would not. It's a new season from my new home in NYC. I feel good today. We're all new in New York. See what we did there? Clever. So good.
Weekdays at 3 on WNKY, NBC 40.
Republican presidential hopeful Nikki Haley's exchange with a voter at a New Hampshire town hall has kicked up controversy and criticism. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is back on the primary ballot in Colorado as state Republicans appeal the ban to the U.S. Supreme Court. Scott McFarland has more on the story.
Nikki Haley, who's been surging in the polls in New Hampshire, now faces a rising wave of criticism over this response to a question at a town hall event.
What was the cause of the United States Civil War?
I mean, I think the cause of the Civil War was basically how government was going to run, the freedoms and what people could and couldn't do.
When asked why she didn't mention slavery, Haley responded,
What do you want me to say about slavery?
The former South Carolina governor was blasted by both parties. President Biden posted it was about slavery. And Haley drew similar criticisms from her GOP opponents, Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis.
This is not a candidate that's ready for prime time.
On the radio today.
I mean, of course, the Civil War was about slavery.
And back on the stump, Haley tried to clear up her answer.
We know that. That's unquestioned, always the case. We know the Civil War was about slavery.
But again appeared to equivocate.
Let's not forget what came out of that, which is government's role, individual liberties.
And she criticized the voter who'd asked the original question as a plant of the Democrats.
The fact that Nikki Haley has had such a stumble on an easy question, is dismaying to those who would like to see her continue to climb in the polls.
Haley today touted her decision to remove the Confederate flag from South Carolina's Capitol in 2015 after the mass shooting at an historically black church in Charleston. Her critics today resurfaced quotes Haley gave in 2010 in which she defended the flag as a symbol of heritage.
This is not something that is racist.
And there is other presidential primary news. Donald Trump is back on the primary ballot in Colorado. Last week, the state Supreme Court there ruled his name should be stripped from the ballot for violating a provision of the 14th Amendment for allegedly supporting insurrection on January 6th. But because Republicans have appealed that decision, Trump goes back on the ballot during the appeal. Scott McFarland, CBS News, Washington.
Staying on the topic of the GOP primary, Maine's top election official has removed former President Trump from the state's 2024 primary ballot. The decision is based on the 14th Amendment's insurrectionist ban, and it makes Maine the second state to disqualify Trump from office. The decision comes after Maine's Secretary of State presided over an administrative hearing about Trump's eligibility for office earlier this month. A bipartisan group of former state lawmakers filed the challenge against Trump's inclusion on the ballot. When we come back, Patrick Carey is in with a look at your sports. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Toyotathon.
Hi, I want a new Toyota for a weekend getaway. Recharge from the holidays.
Perfect. We've got new vehicles arriving daily.
Excuse me. I have got a truckload of new Toyotas out front.
A truckload of new Toyotas? Wait, come on, man. I want one.
Something I said?
Yes.
Toyota is offering $1,000 APR cash on any new gas model 2024 RAV4 or low APR financing on remaining new 23 RAV4s, plus 2 years no-cost maintenance.
Toyotathon ends January 2nd.
Toyota, let's go places.
The nursing home made you an important promise. They promised to be a good home for your loved one and to provide professional care in a safe environment. Now the nursing home has broken that promise and you're left searching for answers. Call us at Hughes & Coleman for a free consultation. If your loved one suffered a serious injury or untimely death while in a nursing home, get Hughes & Coleman and get it done. Call 800-800-4600. Standing up for your loved ones is what matters now.
Coming up on the last News 40 Sunrise Show of the year, find out how you can honor Martin Luther King Jr. Day with some local celebrations.
Plus, we'll put a smile on your face in this week's edition of Feel Good Friday.
These stories and more only on News 40 Sunrise.
Because local matters.
I'm Hugh Trimble.
And the Atomic Ranch Band.
Tune in to hear some folk, some stories, some rock and roll. Hear our newest drummer. This week on Marquee Backstage.
Check it out.
See you soon.
You're not going to want to miss this.
Jeopardy, like the Everest of trivia.
Spit and truth therapy.
You gotta feel smart. If you wanna look smart, just smart, be smart, think smart, talk smart, get smart. You are smart, smarty pants.
What is Equus?
Nitroglycerin. Avignon.
Hyperglycemia.
You got revenge on that category.
I sure did.
You got to unleash the power. Woo! That's the path to Jeopardy success.
I like that, yeah.
Yes.
Weeknights at 6 on WNKY, NBC 40.
This December, Kelly's all new. The holidays are in full swing with merry guests and all the festivities. We're hooking everyone in the audience up. It's a Holly Jolly Kelly.
Weekdays at 3 on NBC 40.
Welcome into sports. Some big news broke yesterday for a current WKU football star. Former South Warren quarterback Caden Veldkamp officially announced via social media that he will be returning to the Hill next season. Prior to the Tops Bowl game against Old Dominion, Veldkamp had announced he was in the transfer portal, but he then shined as he led WKU to a historic comeback victory in the famous Toastery Bowl. The Tops and Veldkamp will look for a big 2024 season. Well, the WKU Lady Toppers are set to return to Diddle Arena tomorrow night. The 8-6 Hilltoppers are coming off a loss to Missouri State 69-68 before the holiday weekend. The Tops will now welcome West Virginia State in search of win number 9 on the season. We'll have that full recap and final score tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Well, staying on the court, the Kentucky Wildcats are back in action tomorrow night. The Cats will host Illinois State at 6 p.m. local time inside of Rupp Arena. Kentucky will then open SEC play in the new year against Florida, followed by Missouri. The Cats are most recently coming off a dominant win over Louisville, before the holiday break. Well, tomorrow is game day for the Kentucky football team as the Cats are set for a matchup with Clemson in the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl. The Cats finished the regular season with a 38-31 upset win over Louisville and will be riding that momentum into tomorrow afternoon. On the other side, the Tigers finished the season 8-4, and head coach Mark Stoops respects the program over at Clemson.
We're playing a great opponent. You know, like to recognize Dabo, Coach Sweeney, for what he's done. The consistency with what he's won is really, truly amazing. He's done a remarkable job, and they have another very good team this year, finishing with 4 straight victories. We know how talented they are. They're just a very talented team. I could go on and on about them.
Well, it was not how Jeff Brom and the Cardinals wanted to end the 2023 season last night. Louisville fell to USC in the Holiday Bowl. Without Caleb Williams on the field for the Trojans, the Cards defense could not slow down the Trojans offense as the team fell 42-28. Brom finishes his first season in the Derby City with a 10-4 record. Well, to the pros now, as the Tennessee Titans are hoping to end the 2023 regular season on a high note. Titans will finish their final 2 games against divisional opponents. Tennessee will take on the Texans this week and then the Jags the following week. Quarterback Will Levis has been working to get back after his injury and explained how he has taken it day to day.
Continuing to just prepare as if I was playing and keeping the same mindset regardless of the situation. It's tough, but I mean, the time in the training room obviously takes away from the other time that you usually have, but I mean, that's part of the game. It's part of the sacrifices you have to make. And yeah, I mean, just continuing to work with these guys to get me ready as soon as possible.
And finally, the Nashville Predators were in action last night inside of Bridgestone Arena. The Preds hosted the Carolina Hurricanes, but fell short 5-2, moving to 19-16-0 on the season. The Preds posted a season-high 37 shots against the Canes, but only saw 2 of those across the goal line. The team will be back in action tomorrow at 6 p.m. local time. Well, that's a look at sports. We'll be right back.
Feels good to be home.
Save big this weekend during Ashley's New Year's Bash. Thursday through Monday, get 25% off your entire purchase. Now is the perfect time to refresh your space. Shop the New Year's Bash this weekend only at Ashley.
You're not going to want to miss this.
Jeopardy, like the Everest of trivia.
Spit and truth therapy.
You gotta feel smart if you wanna look smart. Just smart, be smart, think smart, talk smart, eat smart. You are smart, smarty pants.
You got to unleash the power.
Weeknights at 6 on WNKY, NBC 40.
I'm waking up my day. So let's get it started. Turn it up, turn it on. Keep the morning moving right along. Yeah, I'm waking up my day. News 40 sunrise. Wait, I'm waking up my day. WNKY. Yeah, we're on the voice to get you out the door. I'm waking up my day. The News 40 sunrise.
Weekday morning starting at 6.
Greenwood Ford Lincoln Mobile Service works wherever you are and can meet you when you need it. Our mobile service van is fully loaded with all the latest tools and diagnostic equipment. We provide a range of services including oil and filter change, battery health checks, brake services, and tire rotation. Schedule your Greenwood Ford Lincoln Mobile Service online or by contacting Greenwood Ford Lincoln. With Greenwood Ford Lincoln Mobile Service, it's easy to keep your vehicle in tip-top shape.
MeTV presents Sick Burns on Frank Burns.
Why don't you guys like me, huh? Because you're a lousy doctor and a rotten person. Aside from that, well, there's your pimples. My pores won't close. You are a total and definitive pain in the gluteus maximus. Would you like me to translate? You can't talk to me like that.
Watch more of these sick burns on Frank Burns on MASH.
You know, you really ought to see a proctologist about possible brain damage.
Feels good to be home.
Save big this weekend during Ashley's New Year's Bash. Thursday through Monday, get 25% off your entire purchase or get 0% interest for 60 months with no down payment. Shop the New Year's Bash this weekend only at Ashley.
Now, Patrick, I know you're from Lexington. You're a big UK guy. Do you think they can pull it out against Clemson tomorrow?
I do. I do.
You think they do?
I think it's going to be a really good game. I think Clemson was hot at the end of the regular season there, but I do think Kentucky can pull out the win.
Yeah, definitely be a good rainy day, snowy day, whatever you want to call it, to watch some football if you wanted.
It depends on where you are, but I don't think it's going to be any big deal as far as the snow part of this system. Some rain tonight, mixing at times with some snow flurries or snow showers. and a low at 32 degrees. You may wake up in the morning to much of nothing, or some of you may see something on the grassy areas and in a few spots, but that appears to be it.
Yeah, nothing going to be too major, so just take what we can get sometimes. All right, well, that does it for tonight's edition of News 40 at 10. Join us back here tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. for News 40 Sunrise. Have a good night.